Do you feel like life just keeps on getting you down and it's taking you nowhere? Do you feel as if you're stuck between a fool and a clown in a second-rate traveling fair? When a love song leaves you feeling lonesome inside, that is when you best beware that you don't buy a ticket for a one-way trip, destination deep despair.
Joining me is the multi-talented Tom Jackson. He's an actor, singer, activist, and a humanitarian, and he's here today to talk about the Almighty Voices. Welcome, Tom.
Well, thank you for having me. That's so awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so how are you?
I'm awesome. I'm really good. I'm kind of like it's kind of like being on the road, except it's not moving, It's a nice place.
Yeah. So I want to, congratulate you on, launching the Almighty Voices, and it's a artist-led series, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So Tom, tell me, how did that come about?
I, like others, very impacted by the sheer weight and force of the COVID pandemic. And all of a sudden, isolated here in my home, wonderfully with my darling wife, but nevertheless, we've been here for 2 months now. And trying to feel more useful than not, it became evident that doing nothing was not a good resource. Doing something was going to be an ally. And what we have to rely upon in cases in isolation is what we know, what our knowledge has been in the past. What did you do the last time you were in crisis? What kind of things did you rely upon to make yourself healthy? And one of those things for me, fortunately, was having had some history helping organizations. I'm a bit of a one-trick pony, in that what we've done over many years, Allison and I, my wife, is that we have been able to help food banks and other organizations that are in need by calling our friends, our artists, and ask them if they would participate in an event that would help raise money for these organizations that needed resource. And then it became evident to me that we could do that in this case. So I made some phone calls to some very passionate and influential individuals. I could name them, but I don't know whether I think they know who they are, and they too have been in the world of philanthropy and compassion. So we decided to take this word called love and plagiarize it and create a verb versus using just the word, and called some friends of ours and asked them if they would participate. And they said yes. And we plagiarized what people had been doing on their phones. Yeah. They just take a picture on their phone and record it. And we used that as the model and called the Unison Benevolent Fund and asked them, Amanda Power, if they would allow us to link into their network so that we don't have to handle any of the administration of the money. And what they do is they do what we want to do, which is to help artists in crisis. Mm-hmm. So that's really where the seed of all this happened. And now this week will be our 6th of 12 shows, and there's likely to be 13 because we're going to do a Canada Day special at the end of this. And they get posted they're posted on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and you can contribute. But more importantly, you can create health versus managing disease. Yes. infusion into this mix, which is different than others, or at least some others, is that we want to find ways to make people become healthy in this time of crisis, help them to inject into themselves the empathy and the compassion with which they were already inherent to. I believe that music and art are probably the greatest game changers in the history of the human being in our world, and we can now best use that to help others because they're at home, they're locked in, and maybe they're doing things like me to like I'm learning. Oh, look at the color of that wall. I never knew that color of that wall was that color. I never knew it. Never mind that. My big brag for the week is that I learned how to turn on the washing machine and take the whites and put them in and figure out how to use these new strips, which was soap, and put it in how much of that. I actually learned that this week. Not that I actually did it. Allison did it, but I watched her do it, which, was kind of halfway there. And I figured out that my weights, I have these free weights.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I have them. I've had them for years. And I just realized that it's not true. That those weights aren't 15 pounds. They're like 25 or 30.
Well, that's great. So you're weight training a bit now, right?
Yeah, kind of. I'm doing more research on how much those weights actually weigh. That's what I'm doing.
Well, that's great. So you're the host of the Almighty Voices.
Yes.
And so tell us what to expect for people who are watching the show. It's an hour long.
No, it's a variance because we're not restricted to a time frame. So some of the shows are early 30 moments, and a lot of them are more closer to 40. What the show features are Canadian acts from across the country. Christina Martin, who is from Nova Scotia, is on the show this week. The Calgary Philharmonic Orchestra is on the show this week. And my friends from the Traveling Mabels are on the show this week, and they each have spots, and they share what they've been doing when they're sitting at home, and we share a lot of laughs, and that's kind of how it goes. And I get to be the old guy,
The old guy, but there's also stories too, right? So
yes, there's lots of stories and lots of foibles. I mean, I'm giving it away, but this week I forgot to put on one of my socks.
Oh.
So Allison came in the middle of the shoot and gave me my sock, and I had to put it on. So there, some of it's knowledge, and some of it's just tomfoolery.
No, it's great. And what has the feedback been like so far?
We've been really, we've been very encouraged to understand that in times of crisis, we may have some differences, but we all acknowledge that we're a family. We all acknowledge that though we're a country of 1,000 colors, and we're very intently owning our culture and our backgrounds and our families, but all of that kind of opens up when we find ourselves in crisis, and we start to realize that, we're distinct colors, but we're really all the same, and we are a family, and it makes a big difference. And that's what we're discovering. That's what participants, and that's what the audience is acknowledging for us, that we are in this together, but we're also in this to help ourselves. It allows us to feel the gift of giving. At the same time, it allows us to help others, and they get to receive that gift in return. And so I ask you this question: if you're not quite sure whether this is the kind of thing you want to do, if you're helping somebody and they pay it forward, what if the person they help was somebody you know? What if the person they help is somebody you love.
Mhm.
What if?
What if?
So there's a value here that goes beyond us helping ourselves, because all the artists that we bring on the show, they actually make money. We actually pay them to be on the show. And Unison, then the money that we raise, so you know that Unison gives that money in aid to musicians, our brothers and our sisters that are in crisis.
Yeah, and I'd like to go back to the show. Like, there's also wisdom, right, by our elders, right? So that's wonderful.
There is. I often call friends of mine. I'm not sure how you get to be an elder. Like, I don't have my elder's patch yet. I don't. So I got to call people and ask them advice. So I do, and they share that, and we share in every show what I call good medicine. So an example of that would be I may remember some of this and maybe not, but an example of that would be to say to you that your life exists in the souls of others that you help during your lifetime. You have life in the souls of those that you've helped.
And that's very good. And music, we need music in our lives. It heals. It's we are quarantine, and music just it's universal, right? And how we can speak to each other, all types of music, and
it's
that's what
true.
we're doing on the show.
Yeah, it's very true. I had no idea how much I liked Beethoven's Fifth. Da 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 da. That's all I know, right? Da 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 da. So I had no idea, but the Calgary Symphony Orchestra on this week's show plays Beethoven's Fifth. Mm-hmm. The whole orchestra. The maestro is in Norway, and the orchestra is at home all over Alberta, wherever it is that they live. Mm-hmm. And they are on this show as one, and they make the statement clear, and they make it passionately through their instruments, that they want to help themselves, but they want to help others in the process.
How does it make you feel to have this so needed program? How does Tom tell us, it feels good, but what else?
Well, it validates my existence. Maybe it's in part in that little phrase that I told you earlier, but it allows me to do two things, and probably the only two things that I really know well. And one of them, it allows me to use my art and to share that as I've always wanted to share, as musicians always want to share. It allows not only to use my art, but to give it the kind of value I could only dream of. These kinds of things only happen in dreams. This doesn't happen all the time. They only happen in dreams. And
like your music, you have you're multi-talented, as I said at the beginning. Do you find like acting and music are transferable skills that you have?
I think one teaches and lends skills to the other. But I've been asked often, which one do I like better? And flippantly, I say, well, when I'm acting, I like acting. And when I'm singing, I like singing. But the truth is, I love playing music more than anything else on the planet.
So, Tom, what is next for you?
Well, we don't know how the world is going to unfold, what the new normal is going to look like. We don't know that. But I do know that when you're in the business of music, that you adapt to change and you find new ways of expressing yourselves, and you use vehicles that you didn't know could do certain things. Like, we learn a lot by not knowing something. We learn we learn this period of time is teaching us so much about what we actually know we didn't know. Right? We, heard the saying, necessity is the mother of invention. It's true. You don't know what skills you have until you get challenged in your world to improve it. And for me, what's next would be more defined by asking the question, what do you need? Like, what do you need? And if you're brave enough to answer that question, I'm brave enough to tell you this. Whatever it is that you need, I can actually help you. And the people around you can help you. Your friends, your family. If you're brave enough to say, I need this, if you honor them by saying, can you do me a great favor? You know how it empowers people when you ask that question? Can you do me a favor? They get to say, yeah. I can tell you this, if you need something, if you ask me, I promise you I can help you.
Yes.
And it may not just be me, it may be somebody I know. I know somebody in my world, in my resource world, that knows somebody. Mm-hmm. So it may not even be George who I know. I got called George. Hey, George, who do you know that knows something about rakes?
Yes.
Tractors. I have a tractor, but I know nothing about tractors.
Yes.
So I'll call somebody and say, who do you know? I know you don't know. Really, George, I know you know nothing about tractors, so don't even try that. But who do you know?
Wow. I mean, who are your supporters with the program?
The Walrus magazine, the Governor General's Performing Arts Awards, Doug Knight, Denise Donlan, Jeffrey Remedios from Universal Music. I had a conversation or a connection with Randy Lennox the other day, and he put somebody in his chain to help us do what we do. Alex Haddad is a good friend of mine, and his daughter Tamin. Alex is a very wonderful man, and he actually changed. This is how significant some of my friends are, and I mean, you are too. And I'm not going to say some of them aren't. I'm going to say, let me just tell you about Alex. Alex has changed the healthcare system in Colombia. And Colombia's healthcare system is very close to what ours is. It's a bit of a mirror, but he reduced the cost of healthcare in Colombia minimum 30%. Wow. And I said, wow, what'd you do with the change, Alex? And he showed me pictures of cities that had been changed because the resource that they saved in healthcare, they could put into infrastructure and put in other places where it would improve the quality of life for people who need it the most. And right now we need that kind of thinking. And Alex is on the show every week. So if you tune in, you'll see him and his daughter.
Mm-hmm. And if people want to donate, where can they go?
You go, you should know what Unison Benevolent Fund is, so you can go there. But we have a system where you can text. So you get your phone and in the message box, you put voices, right? VOICES. And in the to box, which is up here, okay, you put 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can text $10. And I tried to figure out, is that very much? I mean, you can change the world for less than it costs for a designer coffee and a sandwich.
Yeah.
You can change the world. You maybe even save a life.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, $10, right? And
yeah. Voices, VOICES. That's right. And what's the number? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Tom, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah. You probably don't know this, Maybe you do, but maybe it'll be a surprise to you. But you have to know that I love you. You have to know that I love you. You see, people like you saved my life. We can't do everything in life on our own. We can have great accomplishments, but you realize at the end of the day, it was teamwork. We always have to remember that somebody gave us a lift. So every once in a while, you should stop and turn around and see who's in your wake, just in case there's somebody there that needs a hand, somebody there that needs what you got. Don't forget that I love you.
And ask for a favor.
Yeah.
And Tom, it's wonderful speaking with you. And if people want to check out your music, where can they go? And your acting.
Well, generally speaking, you can just go here. You just go tomjackson.ca and you'll find me and you'll find everything that's going on in my world. And I welcome you to join, become part of my tribe by choice.
Yes, absolutely. And I love the program. And you had on recently Biff Naked.
Yeah, wasn't she wonderful?
Wonderful. So wonderful program. I thank you so much for being the guest on the show, and I love to interview you again. So.
Well, thank you very much.
And I love you, Tom.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, well, bye for now. And, thanks again.
And call me anytime. Okay. Let me know. Okay. If you need help, don't forget to call.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you again, Tom.
All right. Bye-bye. You too. Bye.